What's up, YouTube? Back at you in another video. So I know it's been a few months since I've gotten on camera to talk about anything Michael Jackson related, and I hate that this is the occasion of me finally getting back on camera to talk about anything. But unfortunately, news got to me, like everybody else, that Tito Jackson passed away this past Sunday at age 70 due to some medical emergency that he had that unfortunately resulted in his passing. So this video is basically going to be just me remembering Tito Jackson and just saying who he was to me and who he was to all of us and paying my respects. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm not going to act like I was the biggest fan of Tito Jackson. But I will say that for as long as I've been a fan of Michael Jackson, I was a fan of the Jacksons, which includes Tito. What I've been saying to people the last couple of days when I talked about Tito Jackson's passing, I said it sucks because I grew up looking at the Jacksons as superheroes to me, real life superheroes. To me, I would look at them the way that the average kid might look at the Avengers or the Justice League. Like, they were my role models, in the absence of positive figures in my life. And Tito Jackson always struck me as, an all-around solid guy. And I feel like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I know a lot of people like to make jokes, especially coming from Rush Hour, like, oh, I'm Michael Jackson, you Tito. But let's be real. The Jackson 5 would not be the same if there were no Tito Jackson. The Jacksons wouldn't be the same if there wasn't Tito. They were such a monumental group, and each member was so important that if you remove one, it's just not going to be the same. And Tito being 70 years old, it's unfortunate because the last couple of months through work, I've just been meeting a lot of older people who are born in the early 40s, late 40s, and it's just like they're still here walking around. And for Tito to have been 70, which in my opinion is relatively young, it's unfortunate because I've always wanted to meet the Jacksons in person. Like, I've always wanted to meet them one day. And the only thing, or the primary thing that I would say to them is just thank you for being positive role models for me. Thank you for shining a light on me. Thank you for being there for me musically. Thank you for setting an example that I follow. Even to this day. And honestly, and here's the thing too. Like, I never liked the fact that the Jacksons get a bad rap, and which was the narrative, which was all back in the 80s. And the thing is, Tito was somebody that loved his brother. He loved his brother. The way that you would hear him talk about Michael, even back then at the height of Thriller, like, he had a way of speaking of him that you could just tell that he was a good older brother, in my opinion. And the thing is, it sucks because I had plans to, well, not necessarily I had plans, but I was on the fence about seeing the Jacksons perform in Atlantic City, if I'm not mistaken, either late October or very early November. And the reason why I was on the fence is just because of the fact of seeing them live. I think I was afraid of that subtle feeling of this isn't the full thing. I'm not really getting the full experience of the Jacksons by watching only Marlon, Jackie, and Tito on stage. But on the opposite side, I just felt like that would be the closest thing I could get to seeing Michael Jackson live, is seeing his brothers who performed with him all the time through pretty much a good 25% of his life. So it sucks that now that's just not going to happen, because I would assume that they're probably going to cancel the rest of the tour dates. So that handshake moment with Tito, I'll never be able to have it because, he is now unfortunately passed on. But one thing I wanted to talk about was his legacy, individually. And anybody that knows me, everybody knows that I love the Victory album. And among the songs on there that I loved, We Can Change the World is definitely one of those songs that I always go back to. Not just because of the rhythm and the groove, but because of the lyrics and what that song actually, stood for. So I just want to take a moment to just read the lyrics, because I think that song really speaks to where we are today in 2024, and I think where we've been the last, decade or so, dare I say two. So the lyrics go, all for one and one for all is what we all should be. But instead, we go and fight each other. Now that wasn't meant to be. The sun is there to light up the day. The night is lit by the moon. If we don't come together, my brother, it can all end very soon. It's your world now. The future is plain to see. Sing it. Give love right now. We need the harmony. Some of us have a heart of stone and feelings cold as ice. Love can make a change in you, take a wrong and make things right. If you only know how it was planned for life to really be, well, you would join in, you won't hesitate, you will help bring the harmony. God made this world for all souls. Why, tell me why, so many obstacles? He's the one, he's the only one that knows. He judges the heart before he saves the soul. We can change the world. We can change the world. Brothers, let's unite. Come, let's make everything all right. We can change this world. We can help this world. Everybody needs love. Turn it loose. Don't stop that love. It's time for waking up. So when you look at the Jacksons, man, I feel like throughout their whole career, they were humanitarians just as much as they were artists, musicians, singers, dancers, songwriters, producers, because their intent as a group was just to bring people together, make people happy, and promote positivity and peace through their music. All you have to do is just look at the lyrics. And We Can Change the World is definitely if I had my own country and I was the president, or if I was the king and we had a national anthem, I would use We Can Change the World, because I would want my country to follow those values that he talked about. And I think that although he passed away relatively young at age 70, he definitely lived a full life, because life is all about, or at least in my opinion, I'm gonna quote Will Smith. He says that if you're not making somebody else's life better by you being here, you're wasting time. And I feel that Tito, for as long as he's been a member of the Jackson 5 and they went public, that's what he's done since then, is put smiles on people's faces and to raise people's vibrations with his music. And just like Michael, I think that's how you truly live forever, is you make a positive impact on people's lives. So when people stop and remember you, they'll have positive things to say, and I don't think there's anything anyone can say negative about really any of the Jacksons, in my opinion, but Tito also. What can you say? He was just a family man, a nice guy, 3 sons that speak highly of him. It's sad, man. It's sad. And honestly, this is coming off the heels of James Earl Jones passing away. And it's like, we didn't even get a chance to process that, because not even a week went by. And then, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, pulling out my phone and seeing that Tito Jackson passes away at age 70. But I think when people like that pass away, it's for us to not be sad, but to celebrate, their impact on us, their impact on the world, and to carry the torch, really. Because I always say that if there's somebody that you looked up to and they pass away before you get a chance to meet them, it's up to you to carry on their values and to represent what they stood for. And Tito Jackson was definitely a guy that I admired and I respected and I looked up to. Even though, again, he wasn't, the front man, but you don't have to be, up front to make a difference in people's lives and to be seen and to be heard. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, rest in peace, Tito Jackson. On that note, definitely let me know in the comments section your thoughts, your memories of Tito Jackson. And yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. So with that said, please be sure as always to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Doesn't feel he owes the kids anything.
No, it ain't that. He knows he owes them a lot. He owes them his music. He enjoys that. He enjoys just being an adult, an example for kids. It's not that he feels he don't owe them anything, because Michael would never say anything like that.
What about the kids that dress like the Jacksons, move like the Jacksons? They lose their own identity by being like the Jacksons. Is that bad, do you think? Or?
No, it's not bad at all. A lot of kids want to be Mickey Mouse. Is that bad?
I don't know. No. You tell me.
No, it's not. It's nothing wrong. Everybody have their own fantasy or whatever they want to call it. But trying to be like the Jacksons is not a fantasy. They can be like the Jacksons.